Hello friends, in this video I'd like to show you how I wire up a SwitchMote to control two independent outlets. Now this was originally a request made by a forum user who asked whether a SwitchMote could be built, like a custom SwitchMote, which could be plugged in right into another outlet and it would have its own controllable outlet and a local button to control that outlet. And basically my response was that it's really too complicated to make that compact and still retain all the functionality and also make it low cost and using all through hole parts like this SwitchMote. And my alternative suggestion was that you could just go to Home Depot and buy an electrical box and an outlet and a cover that fits that configuration and basically wire up the existing SwitchMote kit to control those outlets. And we could do that pretty easily with pretty much all off-the-shelf parts and of course the SwitchMote kit. Before I move on, I'd like to mention a couple things. The intent here is to be able to control two outputs independently, and this can be done with this dual output SwitchMote. This has two 10 amp 250 volt relays that are wired to the S1 and S2 ports. The N and H are neutral and hot. These are inputs that feed into the relays and also power the low voltage electronics and the Motino, which controls the relays and the buttons and LEDs. And then what you see here is also a GFCI outlet, which just happened to be in my junk box, and this fits nicely with this cover that I also had handy. The problem with this is that it may not be appropriate for this kind of switch box application. It could be used for wet areas or wet applications, but this is a GFCI. It just happened to fit this frame. Another problem is that the input plate is internally connected, so I can't split it apart, which means that once I connect hot to this, both of these outlets will come on, so I can't control them independently without taking this apart and finding a way to split this open. Not sure I want to do that, so I've decided to just use this plain and simple dual outlet instead, and this has the same type of input. It has this plate that's actually shared between the two, but it has this tab right here which is exposed, and I think I can cut that open and actually make it possible to feed two hot inputs which will go to each of these outlets. Unfortunately, the frame that I have doesn't fit that one. But you could go to Home Depot. They do have plates that will accommodate a plug and a switch. The screw would be right in the middle. It would be flush with this and everything would be looking very nicely. The input to this box will actually be a power cord, which I also had handy. This will actually feed into the source. And the other end I'm going to cut open and use the wires to provide input to the box. You could always just put this in the wall or find some other kind of electrical box. Again, this is something that I just happen to have around. It doesn't have to be this, it could be a metal box or anything else that fits these. And this could be in a wall wired directly to mains wiring, but for this application I'm just going to make it a portable switch box which you can plug anywhere, and you have dual control over these two outlets, and also a third general purpose button which basically doesn't have to do anything, or it could do anything. It could open your garage, or it could just notify your gateway to trigger an event, so send an email, whatever you want. Alright, so all the wiring is complete. I've double checked all the wires that they go where they should. I use my continuity meter to do that. Especially I want to make sure the hot goes to the input of the SwitchMote, and that the two relays outputs go to the two independent outlets here. Now I have the SwitchMote plugged into the FTDI into my computer for programming. Obviously the SwitchMote is not plugged in. You don't want to do that while you program it. And right now it's waiting to be programmed, and I will go ahead and pull up the sketch here, and I will click upload, and at that point the FTDI adapter will upload the program into the SwitchMote, and as soon as that is done, the SwitchMote will initialize and it's ready for action. Now you'll notice we're still not plugged in, right? The USB power is enough to power the whole SwitchMote and actually activate the relays. What I want to show here is the gateway interface, and as soon as I press a button here on the SwitchMote, this will actually register in the gateway automatically. So I don't have to do any pairing or anything like that. So I'll go ahead and press the top button, and there we go. It just showed up in the interface. Now we could go and configure this and say this is a light switch. Go back home, scroll to the bottom, and I've just turned on the first outlet here. We don't know that it's actually working because we're not plugged in, but I could turn on the second one as well. That will also register there. So this is ready to go. So I'll install it in the box, and we'll take it from there. Alrighty, so this is all wired up and installed in the box. I just wish I had the right plate, but I'll have to go to Home Depot and buy one that matches the outlet as well. So I'll plug this in, and the SwitchMote should come right on. Okay, so it's ready to do some action. And just to illustrate the independent control of these two, I prepared two Motinos that are programmed with the Blinky program, and I'll just plug these in separately in here. So right now nothing happens, they're both off. If I press this button, the first one starts blinking, so power flows through. If I press the second one, it starts blinking as well. If I turn them off, now one's off, the other is still on. Now they're both back off. So there we go, that's the whole demo. And just to illustrate how I can control this from the gateway, I can go down here where I have the new node show up, and I can turn this on. Let's turn them both on. So now both are blinking. Yeah, so there you go. It's a pretty easy application. You can have a switch box like this created in no time, and it's quite useful. You can use the power cord, or you could install it in the wall somewhere. I hope you find it useful. I hope you like the video, and you can subscribe for future videos if you haven't already done so. Thanks for watching, and see you later. And of course, I forgot to show you that I can also control both of these from a mobile device that's synced with the gateway, and you can control the SwitchMote remotely from anywhere in the world.